Have you ever caught yourself feeling empty, unmotivated, or just completely lost about where your life is heading, and had no idea why? Well, the answer might be sitting right in your pocket, your phone. More specifically, social media. Social media gives us those quick little hits of entertainment and stress relief, but it's also a beautifully designed trap, one that pulls us in for hours without us even realizing it. And in the United States, which ranks 6th among the top 10 countries with the largest TikTok user bases at around 151 million users, exposure to low-quality content has never been easier or more relentless. As short-form video continues to dominate our screens, it's quietly draining our ability to focus, think deeply, and create. In today's episode, we're going to unpack a concept you've probably heard thrown around online: brainrot. We're going to talk about what it actually means, why our addiction to short-form content is genuinely harmful to our brains, and what we can realistically do about it. Let's dive in. Before we go further, a quick shout-out. If you're finding value in what we discuss here at MindForce, make sure you hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Now let's set the scene with some numbers because they're pretty eye-opening. America ranks first globally in TikTok usage with approximately 151 million users. That's not just a trend, that's a cultural shift. And it points to a deeply concerning reality. We are being absorbed into platforms where low-quality content reigns supreme. TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. They've all gone all in on short-form video, reels, and recommendation algorithms specifically designed to keep you glued to your screen at any cost. The result? Younger generations and future generations are facing what I genuinely call a brain rot crisis, the product of overexposure to harmful content across digital platforms. So let's start with the basics. What exactly is brain rot? Brain rot is a term that started as internet slang, but it moved so far into the mainstream that Oxford's dictionary editors actually named it their word of the year for 2024. Let that sink in for a second. The term describes a perceived deterioration of a person's mental state, particularly caused by excessive consumption of trivial, low-quality, or intellectually unstimulating online content. It can also refer to the content itself as the cause of that deterioration. Now here's where it gets interesting. Brain rot isn't actually a new word. Henry David Thoreau used it back in 1854 to describe a similar kind of intellectual decline, but it exploded in modern usage around 2023 and 2024, particularly on TikTok, with a usage increase of somewhere between 230 and 250% between 2023 and 2024. That surge alone tells you how much this concept is resonating with people right now. In plain terms, brain rot describes what happens when you spend hours scrolling through social media, absorbing low-quality content, drama posts, flexing culture, stories about people claiming they made a six-figure salary before they turned 20. Each piece of content seems harmless on its own, but taken together and consumed over and over again, they quietly build a kind of psychological pressure inside you. You start losing motivation, you feel a persistent, inexplicable sense of boredom and emptiness. And the research backs this up. Brain rot has been linked to a specific set of behaviors and consequences. It's associated with aimless, repetitive content consumption, particularly passive short-form entertainment like short videos and reels, as well as what researchers call zombie scrolling, where you're just mindlessly swiping with no real intention, or doom scrolling, where you're endlessly cycling through negative news. There's also documented cognitive decline, reduced attention span, weakened critical thinking, difficulty processing complex information, trouble making decisions, and impaired memory. Some preliminary studies have even found a link between excessive internet use and a reduction in gray matter in the prefrontal cortex. That's the part of your brain responsible for decision-making and impulse control. On the psychological and emotional side, brain rot contributes to what people call brain fog or mental fuzziness. It's connected to apathy, emotional numbness, anxiety, stress, and depression. And constantly comparing yourself to the polished highlight reels of other people's lives on social media adds another layer. It chips away at your self-worth without you even noticing. And then there's the addiction angle. These platforms are deliberately engineered to create dopamine feedback loops. They're designed to keep you coming back. And that kind of compulsive behavior looks a lot like other forms of addiction. Stay with me here, because I want to be clear about something important. Brain rot is not an officially recognized medical diagnosis, but that doesn't mean it isn't real. Experts and researchers widely acknowledge it as a genuine phenomenon with measurable, significant negative effects on mental health and cognitive function, especially among young people who are particularly vulnerable to the effects of excessive digital consumption. It reflects a much larger concern about how our virtual lives are reshaping society and stealing our most valuable resource: time. And I know you've been there. I've been there. You have a perfect plan for the evening, maybe a project you've been wanting to work on or a goal you've been meaning to chase. And then you pick up your phone, tell yourself you'll just scroll for 5 to 10 minutes, and before you know it, an entire hour has disappeared. Everything you intended to do is still sitting there untouched. I've felt that frustration and that guilt firsthand. So let's talk about why this keeps happening. What's actually driving brain rot? If we look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we know that once our basic physiological needs are met, food, shelter, safety, we move up to psychological needs: social connection, belonging, respect, and self-expression. In the modern world, our phones and social media serve all of those needs simultaneously. They help us coordinate work projects, stay in touch with friends, and access information instantly. That's not inherently a bad thing. In fact, it saves us enormous amounts of time and keeps us connected in ways previous generations couldn't have imagined. But here's the catch. The problem isn't the phone itself. The problem is how these platforms are designed and the type of content we're actually consuming on them. Let's talk about the first major cause: platforms built to get you hooked. TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, they've all made a massive push into short-form video. These formats are engineered to be maximally engaging and frictionless to consume. What starts as a quick 5-minute scroll slides into 30 minutes, then an hour, and you barely notice the transition. Then you add hyper-personalized algorithms into the mix. These platforms have built extraordinarily sophisticated systems that continuously analyze your behavior to show you exactly what you're most likely to engage with. This creates a dopamine feedback loop. Every time you discover a new piece of content, your brain releases dopamine, the neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward. It's the same mechanism that drives other forms of addiction. The more you scroll, the harder it becomes to stop. Now here's where it gets interesting, because the second cause comes from us. We use social media for the wrong reasons. After a long day of work, deadlines, and stress, we reach for our phones as an escape, as a temporary relief valve. And that's understandable. There's nothing inherently wrong with unwinding, but when it becomes an unconscious habit that stretches on indefinitely, it turns into something far more damaging. It becomes an invisible blade quietly cutting away at your mental health and cognitive capacity. And from the content creator side of things, the economics of social media incentivize low-quality content. More views mean more traffic, which means more revenue. So platforms are flooded with drama, clickbait, hollow success stories, and mindless videos. Consuming that without any kind of filter or critical thinking gradually erodes your ability to concentrate, analyze, and think creatively. Brain fog and chronic low-grade dissatisfaction follow naturally. These forces together create a perfect environment for brain rot to flourish, slowly dulling the sharpness of our minds without us even realizing it's happening. From the creator's side, the goal is always maximum engagement. So content is built to hit you directly in your emotional center: joy, fear, curiosity, sadness. When your brain is constantly bombarded with these intense emotional stimuli, it keeps releasing dopamine in large quantities, producing that feeling of excitement and satisfaction. Here's an analogy that might help illustrate this. Why do so many people struggle to quit smoking even when they know exactly how harmful it is? Because cigarettes trigger a large dopamine release. When that's taken away, the body feels restless, irritable, uncomfortable. In the same way, the constant dopamine hits from short videos can create a content addiction cycle. And once you're in that cycle, breaking out is genuinely difficult. When those stimuli are gone, you feel empty. You lose motivation, everything feels flat and effortless. Short-form content also has a direct impact on cognitive function. Think of your brain like a muscle. It needs to be challenged to stay sharp. Building strong analytical thinking and critical reasoning requires sustained mental effort. But short-form video works directly against that principle. With an average video length of 30 seconds to a minute and the ability to instantly swipe to something new on TikTok, your brain is forced to process information in fragmented, disconnected bursts. Instead of working through a single idea deeply, the brain is just touching dozens, sometimes hundreds, of tiny pieces of information in a very short time. Research from Carnegie Mellon University and UC San Francisco on the impact of social media on the brain found that sustained exposure to high-intensity, short-duration stimuli can reduce your capacity for sustained attention and deep thinking. Similarly, the World Health Organization has warned about the effects of excessive screen time on children's cognitive development, specifically naming attention and problem-solving as areas of concern. The cumulative effect is a serious degradation of your analytical ability and creative thinking. And so the cycle continues. 10 minutes becomes 30. 30 becomes an hour. You've experienced this. You sit down to watch a few videos just for entertainment or out of curiosity, and suddenly an hour has evaporated. When you finally put the phone down, you feel drained, foggy, and lethargic. That's the dopamine loop and the fragmented information intake working together, pulling you in, dissolving your sense of time, and leaving your personal goals perpetually on hold. So yes, short videos have real value. They're entertaining, they reduce stress after a long day, and they give us fast access to information. But when you lose control of your consumption and fall into an unregulated loop, the costs are severe. Your creative thinking suffers, your sense of forward momentum disappears, and day-to-day life starts to feel stagnant. Now here's the good news. Let's talk about what you can actually do about it. A lot of the standard advice out there, set goals, limit screen time, build new habits, sounds reasonable, but it's frustratingly vague and hard to sustain in practice. We hear it, nod along, and fall right back into the same patterns. The real work starts inside. And the first, most important step is accepting that you are caught in a brain rot loop. Recognizing it doesn't mean you can overhaul your behavior overnight. That's not how deeply embedded habits work. Instead, you need a strategic approach that gradually increases the difficulty of accessing the addictive source over time. Step 1. Raise the cost of accessing social media. This method is based on a solid psychological principle called friction. Our brains naturally gravitate toward convenience and resist effort. So make social media inconvenient on purpose. Delete the apps from your phone. When you want to use them, you'll have to download them again, log back in, and then delete them again when you're done. Yes, that sounds tedious. That's the whole point. The friction of doing that repeatedly will make your brain quietly resist the impulse to open the app, and your total screen time will shrink significantly over time. Move apps out of sight. Bury distracting apps inside a folder within a folder, or push them to a screen you rarely swipe to. When you don't see the icon, you don't get the unconscious trigger to open it. Turn off all notifications. This is one of the most effective ways to break the dopamine feedback loop. Without constant pings pulling you back in, you regain control over when and whether you engage. Step 2. Replace the empty space with something meaningful. Once you start reclaiming that time, you need to fill it intentionally. Not just to avoid brain rot, but to genuinely nourish your mental and intellectual health. Find a hobby or passion you've been meaning to explore. Pick something you used to love or always wanted to try. For me, it was writing. The very act of researching and writing pieces, like this one, replaced hours of mindless scrolling. My writing wasn't polished at first. That's fine. The process itself was the point. Maybe for you, it's drawing, knitting, playing a sport, learning an instrument, reading, gardening, or joining a volunteer group or community club. Whatever it is, it should engage your hands, your mind, or both. Invest in real-world social connection. Spend time with friends and family in person, not just liking their posts from your couch. Real relationships provide emotional support and depth that no amount of digital interaction can replicate. Learn something new. Sign up for an online course in an area you're genuinely curious about. Learn a new language. Build a new skill. Learning stimulates the brain in positive, constructive ways, strengthening your analytical thinking and problem-solving ability. Now let's talk about optimizing your digital environment directly. Apply the 20-20-20 rule. This is primarily known as an eye care technique, but it works for your brain too. Every 20 minutes of screen time, look at something 20 feet away, about 6 meters, for 20 seconds. Better yet, use that moment to stand up, take a few steps, drink some water, or look out a window. These micro breaks help your brain reset and prevent cognitive overload. Turn off autoplay. Platforms use this feature specifically to keep you consuming without making an active choice to continue. Disabling it puts the decision back in your hands. Try grayscale mode. For some people, switching their phone display to black and white reduces the visual appeal of apps and decreases the urge to use them. It sounds small, but it can be surprisingly effective. Create a dedicated workspace. If you use the same device for work and entertainment, try to separate the contexts, either by scheduling specific times for each or even using different devices for different purposes. Develop a deep reading or deep learning practice. This is the direct antidote to short-form consumption. Set aside time to read a physical book, a long-form article, or to dive deep into a topic that matters to you. This kind of sustained focus exercises the exact cognitive muscles that short-form content is eroding. Similarly, activities that demand logical thinking and complex problem-solving, like learning to code, playing chess, or working through difficult puzzles, are excellent counters to cognitive decline. And finally, set technology-free golden hours. This might be family dinner time, the hour before bed, or weekend mornings. During these windows, all devices go away, phone, tablet, TV. This creates space for real rest, genuine human connection, and offline activities that actually replenish you. For me personally, building a creative space of my own, a place to write, to share, to think, gave me something worth showing up for. That sense of purpose became its own motivation. It's a living example of what happens when you trade passive consumption for active creation. Here's the bottom line. Change doesn't happen overnight. Habits that are wired into your subconscious took time to build, and they'll take time to undo. Be patient with yourself. Start with the smallest possible step, but do start. Are you ready to take back control of your own brain? If you have ideas, strategies, or experiences you'd like to share, drop them in the comments. Let's figure this out together. Thank you for listening. This is MindForce. See you soon.